Imagine a world where your heartbeat could betray you, where the walls have ears, and one wrong word could erase your entire life. This isn't a movie plot. This was real. And in the shadows of East Germany, one man was listening. In the dark and divided heart of East Germany, during the height of the Cold War, there lived a man whose job was to listen. Not to music, not to laughter, but to the private lives of others. His name was Captain Gerd Wiesler, a top agent for the Stasi, the infamous East German secret police. The Stasi had one mission: to control people through fear. Every phone call, every friendship, every word was watched. In their world, silence was survival. It was 1984. The Berlin Wall stood tall, a concrete line dividing freedom from fear. On one side, the promise of liberty. On the other, a world of suspicion and control. And inside that world lived Wiesler, a man of discipline, a man of the system. His life was a silent, colorless routine. He woke up alone, went to work alone, and returned to an empty apartment. His loyalty to the state was absolute. He believed what he'd been taught. The government was always right, and those who questioned it were dangerous. But then came one assignment that changed everything. Wiesler was ordered to spy on Georg Dreyman, one of East Germany's most celebrated playwrights, a man adored by the public and respected by the authorities. Georg was seen as loyal, someone who never criticized the system. He lived with Christa Maria Seeland, a beautiful, gifted actress. Together, they were the golden couple of East German art, admired, envied, and now closely watched. But Georg didn't know the real reason for the surveillance. His success had caught the eye of a powerful man, Minister Bruno Hempf. Hempf didn't care about Georg's politics. He wanted Christa for himself. And to clear his path, he needed a reason to destroy Georg. Under the guise of state security, Hempf ordered a full surveillance operation. Wiesler was chosen to lead it. He believed it was an honor, another mission to protect his country from traitors. He had no idea he was just a pawn in another man's twisted desires. Soon, Georg's apartment was filled with hidden microphones, inside lamps, behind wallpaper, under tables. Wires ran through the walls to a dark attic across the street. There, Wiesler sat, wearing headphones, surrounded by tape recorders and notes. Every sound from Georg's home, every word, every laugh, every sigh flowed directly into Wiesler's ears. At first, he listened like a machine, writing down everything, every phrase that could be twisted into something suspicious. He was doing his duty. But something unexpected began to happen. Night after night, as he listened to Georg and Christa talk, love, argue, and dream, he started to feel something he hadn't felt in years: empathy. He heard Georg play the piano, pouring his soul into the keys. He heard Christa laugh softly after a fight. He heard them talk about hope, art, and freedom. And for the first time, he realized they weren't enemies. They were human. He was the one who was trapped, living in isolation, loyal to a system that had stolen his own humanity. One day, Georg's close friend, a talented director named Albert Yerske, took his own life. He had been blacklisted by the government, banned from working, and broken by hopelessness. When Georg learned of his friend's death, something inside him shattered. That night, Wiesler heard Georg cry for the first time. As Georg mourned, Wiesler quietly took off his headphones. He couldn't listen anymore. Soon after, Georg decided to do the unthinkable. He planned to write an article for a Western newspaper, an article that would expose the truth the East German government tried to hide: the rising number of suicides among citizens silenced by fear and despair. It was a dangerous act, a crime that could destroy him. And Wiesler heard every word of the plan through his headphones. He knew he should report it. That was his duty. That was the law. But his heart had changed. Instead of exposing Georg, he began to protect him. He changed his reports. He erased conversations from the tapes. He even warned Georg indirectly, manipulating the system from within. For the first time in his life, Captain Wiesler, the perfect soldier, had become a silent rebel. Meanwhile, Minister Hempf continued to pressure Christa. He told her that her career would end unless she submitted to him. Terrified of losing everything, she fell into his trap. When Wiesler discovered this, he was disgusted. Not at Christa, but at the cruelty of the men he served. He realized the real corruption wasn't outside. It was inside the very system he had protected his entire life. Christa's guilt became unbearable. She confessed to Georg what she had done. He forgave her, but the walls were closing in. The Stasi began to suspect that something was wrong. Reports didn't match. Evidence went missing. Wiesler's superiors started to doubt him. Then came the night that decided everything. Christa, broken and frightened, was brought in for interrogation. Under immense pressure, she revealed the hiding place of the typewriter used to write the illegal article. A raid was ordered on Georg's apartment, but Wiesler moved first. He sneaked into the flat, found the typewriter, and hid it, saving Georg's life once again. When the Stasi searched, they found nothing. Georg was spared, but the tragedy wasn't over. Christa, consumed by guilt and shame, ran into the street that night. Rain poured from the sky. Headlights flashed. A car struck her. Georg ran to her, held her in his arms, and whispered her name as her life faded away. From a distance, Wiesler watched silently, the man who had saved them both, but couldn't save her soul. Years passed. History changed. The Berlin Wall fell. East Germany collapsed. The Stasi was dissolved, and the secret files of millions of citizens were open to the public. Now a free man, Georg Dreyman, older, quieter, but still haunted, decided to read his own file. Inside those dusty pages, he found something extraordinary. Reports written by the agent assigned to spy on him, filled with lies, false statements, and missing evidence. Someone had protected him. Someone inside the system had risked everything. The agent's code name on the report, HGWXX7, Captain Gerd Wiesler. Georg wanted to meet him. He found Wiesler living a simple life, working as a postman. No medals, no rank, no uniform. Just an ordinary man in a gray coat. Georg didn't know what to say. He simply looked at him. Wiesler looked back quietly and replied, "I knew you would come." Nothing more was needed. Years later, Georg published a new novel. Its title, Sonata for a Good Man. On the first page was a simple dedication. For HGWXX7 with gratitude. One day, Wiesler walked past a bookstore and saw the book in the window. He picked it up, turned to the first page, and read those words. He didn't smile. He didn't cry. He just whispered softly, "It's for me." And he walked away, the book held close to his heart, quiet, content, redeemed. The lives of others isn't just a story about spying, politics, or history. It's about what happens when one human heart rediscovers its capacity to feel. Wiesler began as a man who followed orders, who believed in fear, who saw people as files. But through listening, truly listening, he learned compassion. He didn't start a revolution with guns or banners. He started one inside himself. Because sometimes the most powerful act of rebellion is simply choosing to be human again. This story reminds us that no matter how dark the system, no matter how deep the control, empathy can still exist. Even one man, lost in the machinery of oppression, can find light again. And that, in the end, is what saves us all. Thanks for watching. If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the films that change us. See you next time.